Have you ever had a day you wished you could live over again? Maybe it was a perfect summer afternoon, a moment of triumph, or a cherished memory with loved ones. Or maybe it was a day you wished you could fix, a moment where a different choice might have changed everything. This very human desire is at the heart of our fascination with time loops. The idea of repeating a period of time, armed with the knowledge of what comes next, is honestly a powerful and compelling concept. It speaks to our deepest wishes for second chances, for mastery over our own lives, and for the opportunity to correct our mistakes and achieve a perfect outcome. It's a fantasy that's been explored in stories for generations. The concept of a time loop is a staple of science fiction, captivating audiences on screen and in print. Think of films like Groundhog Day, where a cynical weatherman is forced to relive the same day until he gets it right. Or consider the action-packed Edge of Tomorrow, where a soldier gains the ability to reset the day every time he dies, learning from his fatal errors to become the ultimate warrior. These stories are more than just clever plot devices. They are thought experiments that explore the nature of causality, free will, and what it truly means to learn and grow. They tap into a universal curiosity about the what-ifs of life, a curiosity that's not just limited to storytellers and philosophers. These narratives resonate so strongly because they dramatize a fundamental aspect of the human condition, our relationship with time. We experience time as a relentless one-way street. It flows forwards, from the past, through the present, and into the future, without any possibility of turning back. This linear progression defines our existence, marking our lives with beginnings and endings. The time loop shatters this fundamental rule. It introduces a cyclical structure into what we perceive as a straight line, offering a glimpse into a reality where the past is not gone forever and the future is not yet set in stone. This is a radical and honestly pretty exciting idea. So why does this idea hold such a powerful grip on our imagination far beyond simple entertainment? It's because time loops force us to confront profound questions about ourselves and our universe. If you were trapped in a loop, what would you do? Would you seek pleasure, knowledge, or redemption? How would your choices change if there were no permanent consequences? These questions probe the very essence of morality, identity, and purpose. But what if this wasn't just a fantasy? What if the laws of physics themselves, the rules that govern the cosmos, contained a loophole? What if they allowed for the possibility of time itself to curve back on itself, creating a genuine loop in reality? While storytellers have been playing with time loops for years, some of the most brilliant minds in physics have been exploring a remarkably similar concept, born not from fiction, but from mathematics. This concept is known as a closed time-like curve, or CTC for short. It's a challenging idea, but let's break it down. In physics, particularly in Einstein's theory of relativity, the path an object takes through space and time is called its world line. For most objects, including you and me, this world line always moves forwards in time. You can move back and forth in space, but you can only ever travel onwards into the future. It's a one-way journey. A closed time-like curve is a special kind of world line. It's a path through space-time that is so warped and distorted that it loops back on itself. Imagine drawing a line on a piece of paper that starts at one point and eventually returns to that same starting point, forming a circle. A CTC is the four-dimensional equivalent of that. It represents a trajectory in the universe where, if you were to travel along it, you would eventually find yourself back at the same point in space and at the very same moment in time that you started. You would have effectively traveled into your own past, completing a loop in time itself. This isn't just a random speculative idea. The possibility of closed time-like curves emerges directly from the equations of one of the most successful scientific theories ever developed, Albert Einstein's theory of general relativity. In 1915, Einstein revolutionized our understanding of gravity. He showed that gravity is not a force pulling objects together, but is instead the result of massive objects, like stars and planets, bending and curving the very fabric of space-time around them. Think of a bowling ball placed on a stretched rubber sheet. It creates a dip that causes smaller marbles to roll towards it. This is a simple analogy for how gravity works. Einstein's equations describe precisely how matter and energy dictate the curvature of space-time. The astonishing thing is that under certain extreme conditions, the theory predicts that space-time could become so incredibly curved that it could literally fold back on itself. It is within these extreme solutions to Einstein's field equations that the mathematical possibility for closed time-like curves appears. This takes the concept of time loops out of the realm of pure fantasy and places it firmly onto the desk of the theoretical physicist. It transforms a captivating story idea into a mind-bending but legitimate scientific question that we must investigate. Now we arrive at the most famous and unsettling problem in all of time travel theory. It is the question that everyone asks when they first consider the possibility of journeying into the past, the grandfather paradox. The scenario is simple, yet its implications are profound. Imagine you have built a time machine. You step inside, set the controls for 60 years ago, and arrive in the past. You find your own grandfather as a young, unmarried man, long before he ever met your grandmother. What happens if you prevent him from ever meeting her? Or, in the more dramatic version of the story, what if you were to kill him? If he dies, he can never have children, meaning your own parent is never born. And if your parent is never born, then you are never born. But here is the core of the paradox. If you were never born, how could you have possibly grown up to build a time machine and travel back in time to kill your grandfather in the first place? The very act of succeeding in your mission logically erases the possibility of you ever starting it. It creates a complete and utter contradiction, a situation that simply cannot be. This is not just a tricky riddle. It is a direct assault on the fundamental principle of causality, the idea that a cause must always precede its effect. In this scenario, your action in the past, the effect, eliminates its own cause, which is your future existence. It is a logical short circuit that seems to make any form of time travel into the past utterly impossible. This paradox is a powerful argument against the physical reality of closed time-like curves. It suggests that even if the equations of general relativity allow for such paths, the universe must have some other more fundamental law in place to forbid them. While the grandfather paradox deals with changing the past, there is another, perhaps even stranger type of paradox that arises from the possibility of time travel. This is the causal loop, also known as a Bootstrap paradox or an information paradox. In this scenario, an object or a piece of information has no discernible origin. It exists in a self-contained loop where its own future effect is the cause of its past existence. It's kind of a cosmic chicken and egg problem with no beginning and no end. Faced with these bewildering paradoxes, physicists have sought ways to resolve them that do not require us to abandon general relativity altogether. One of the most elegant and compelling solutions is the Novikov self-consistency principle, proposed by Russian physicist Igor Dmitrievich Novikov in the 1980s. The principle states a simple but powerful idea. If time travel to the past is possible, then the laws of physics must forbid any action that would create a paradox. In essence, the universe demands that history must be self-consistent. You simply cannot create a state of affairs that leads to a logical contradiction, because the laws of physics will not allow it. There is another, even more speculative way to resolve the grandfather paradox, an idea that comes from the strange realm of quantum mechanics. This is the many worlds interpretation, first proposed by Hugh Everett III in the 1950s. In its original context, it was a way to explain the weirdness of quantum measurements. It suggests that every time a quantum event has more than one possible outcome, the universe splits into multiple parallel universes. In one universe, the event has one outcome, and in another universe, it has the other. Every possibility is realized in its own separate, non-communicating timeline. This creates a vast, branching tree of parallel realities. When we venture into the territory of time loops, we face a profound question. If the laws of physics seem to allow them, why haven't we been inundated with tourists from the future? This simple observation was at the heart of a powerful argument put forward by one of the most brilliant physicists of our time, Stephen Hawking. He was deeply skeptical about the possibility of time travel to the past, precisely because of the paradoxes it would unleash. To address this, he formulated what he engagingly called the chronology protection conjecture. This wasn't a formal proof, but rather a bold hypothesis that there must be some undiscovered physical principle that prevents time loops from forming. Hawking proposed that the universe has a built-in censorship mechanism. He argued that the very attempt to create a time machine would be its own undoing. As we saw with the unstable interior of a Kerr black hole, the conditions needed for a closed time-like curve might also be the conditions that guarantee its destruction. So, after exploring Einstein's equations, theoretical time machines, baffling paradoxes, and quantum weirdness, where does the scientific community actually stand? Is there a consensus view on time loops? The honest answer is no. There isn't a firm consensus, but there is a prevailing attitude of skepticism. The vast majority of working physicists would likely say that time travel to the past is probably not possible for macroscopic objects like people. The theoretical hurdles, such as the need for exotic matter with negative energy and the immense stability problems, are simply too great to ignore. However, skepticism is not the same as dismissal. A significant and respected minority of theoretical physicists believe the question is still wide open. Physicists like Kip Thorne, a Nobel laureate who did foundational work on wormholes, have argued that we should not be so quick to rule it out. They contend that our understanding of quantum gravity is so incomplete that we cannot yet say with any certainty what is and is not possible under extreme conditions. For these scientists, closed time-like curves are not just a nuisance, they are a vital clue, a signpost pointing towards the deeper physics of a unified theory that we must strive to understand. In the end, the debate about time loops remains one of the most exciting and mind-stretching frontiers in fundamental physics. It pushes our best theories to their breaking points and forces us to confront our deepest assumptions about reality. As we draw our journey to a close, we find ourselves standing at the edge of human knowledge, peering into a misty landscape of profound and unanswered questions. The possibility of closed time-like curves, born from the elegant mathematics of Einstein's general relativity, remains one of the most tantalizing and stubborn enigmas in modern physics. We have seen that our best theory of gravity does not forbid time travel, yet the universe seems to conspire against it. This leaves us with a critical open question. Is causality a fundamental, unbreakable law of the cosmos, or is it merely a local convention, a habit of our particular corner of space-time that could be violated elsewhere? So, why do we continue to dedicate so much intellectual energy to this topic, a concept that seems to belong more to the silver screen than to the serious laboratory? The reason is that the study of time loops, even if they prove impossible, is incredibly valuable. It acts as a powerful stress test for our most fundamental theories. It is by asking the biggest, boldest, and strangest questions, can time loop back on itself, that we push the boundaries of what we know. The search for the answer, regardless of what it turns out to be, will undoubtedly reveal deeper truths about the fabric of our cosmos and the fundamental laws that govern it all.